Welcome back to Sweetwater Acres, guys. It's been a cold couple weeks. As you can tell, we got a little bit more snow, but we missed that big winter system that went through most of the United States. We were just to the north of it, but we got the temperatures. We didn't get the snow, but we got the temps. So we've had probably 2.5 to 3 weeks of temps below the 32 degrees mark, so below freezing. And I'd say there's a handful of days in a row there where we didn't see above zero. We were on the negatives for a few days. But I want to do a quick video. You should have seen a couple hunting videos so far. I think I got a couple more to go, but I wanted to get a quick one out since 'tis the season on 5 main things that I think of and that I do to keep our chicks warm in the winter. There'll be a 6th bonus one too, but 5 key things that you got to keep in mind that'll help your chickens and your ducks out, all of your poultry in the winter. But first, I wanted to thank you guys. Set this water down here. I wanted to thank you guys for bearing with us. My wife and I work full-time jobs. Our channel is a little chaotic. We're not getting videos out consistently. We merged 2 of our YouTube channels, so now we've got all of this stuff all in one channel. So you're seeing some old videos, you're seeing some new videos, but most of those should be loaded now. So from here on out, it should be just newer videos on what we're doing here. And it's a little sporadic. We've got dogs, we've got chickens, we've got baking and canning, we've got, gardening, you name it, we've got it. It's gonna be seasonal. I understand not all of you are gonna be interested in every single video we post, but for those of you that are subscribed and following along, it'll be seasonal. You know, springtime's going to be a lot of getting gardens ready, getting chicks ready, adding on in addition to the coop that I think I'm going to do. Be a multi-purpose extension. There's going to be a lot of different random things. Hopefully you guys find it entertaining and interesting. I'll try to do my best to videotape all of it, but just want to thank you guys for hanging in there with us. But first things first, we're going to get to top 5 things, or the main 5 things you got to think about when keeping chickens warm in the winter. First one is water. That is a key thing, more so for your ducks. The chickens, you need it, and these guys are going to be loud, so I'm actually going to let them out because it's supposed to get above, like I said, it's supposed to get above freezing today, or right at freezing, that 32 degree mark, which is going to be a sauna for these guys. So I'm actually going to let them out so they can just run around and scratch. They love going back and scratching in the compost pile. We've got a bird feeder that these guys can get into. The neighbor just honked at me there. But the main thing is water, guys. Chickens don't need a lot of water, but they do need some. Your ducks are going to need more because that's how they help digest their food. The ducks use water to kind of break down and sift through their food and help them break down food, and they also like to dabble. Most ducks are dabblers. Most of your farm ducks are dabblers, I should say. So I'm going to give these guys some scratch here, which is another key ingredient in keeping them warm. But I'm just going to shake around some scratch. This is just cracked corn, oats, and sunflowers. But back to water. Ducks, they dabble, so they like to get in the mud, and their beaks, if you look when it's warm out and not freezing, their beaks will be absolutely caked with mud. So they need to have consistent access to water to kind of clean off their beaks and help digest their food. Chickens, you can probably get away with just having open water at least once a day, but the ducks, you're gonna have to come out here and do that multiple times a day. What I do, and this is one thing I have to figure out, is how to keep waters open for these guys. I bought a couple of these 1-gallon waters here, really cheap off Amazon. You can see I upgraded the handle on there. But all I do is rotate them out. I put one out in the coop. They can drink out of it. I bring one inside, thaw it out, dump the old water out, put fresh water in, and then switch it out 2 to 3 to 4 times a day, as many times as I can, depending on how cold it is. The colder it is, obviously, the faster the waters freeze, the faster I have to come out here, the more I have to rotate them. So one thing is water. Your chickens, as long as they can get access to water at least once a day, that's good. Ducks, you gotta, they're a little more high maintenance when it comes to that aspect of it. And that's one thing I need to figure out, because most of my coop is self-sustainable. They can go a while without me coming out here. The one thing in the winter is waters. I don't have electricity out here. As you can see, I did put a mini solar panel up for light, and I'll go over that later as well. But I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I could hook up maybe a mini solar panel. This was like 30 bucks off Amazon. It's been working really well. This is the second year we've had it. Still works great. But I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I can put up a solar panel, maybe do some water, put in a heated water or something like that, because that would be perfect. The next thing, as you saw, so number one, water. Number two is feed. Just like any animal or human, calories equal body heat. So you got to feed them a lot during the winter. They need to have full access to feed, and a high calorie feed, high fat, high caloric intake, which is why I feed a lot of scratch, and I add in sunflower seeds. There's a lot of fats and oils in there. It's a lot of energy to help them keep warm. They're gonna hammer these. This is just like crack to them right now. They love this stuff right this time of year. And I go through a lot of it. Usually in the summer, I don't go through as much. I don't usually put out 2 scoops in the summer and the spring, because there's fresh grass, there's bugs, there's seeds. There's a lot for them to go out in free range. As you can see, they've got about maybe an acre here of area, fenced in area, that they can go find bugs and whatever else they want to eat. So it works out really nice. I just throw a little bit of handful of scratch out there for them in the summer, but in the winter, they need the calories, they need the body heat. So I dump out usually 1 to 2 big scoops of scratch a day, if not multiple times a day. I'll probably come out here after lunch and do another one at least, just so I know they're getting those calories along with the feed. They got full feed in the coop as well. So 1 is water, 2 is feed. Make sure you're giving them good calories. The third thing is make sure that they have, it's shelter, obviously. Whatever every animal needs: food, water, and shelter. Shelter. They need to have something that gets them out of the cold air. The cold doesn't really hurt them. They're able to puff up their feathers and kind of create body heat. Now, some chickens are better at this than others, and I'll go through that as well later. But they can fluff up their feathers, kind of act like a puffy jacket. If you guys know the difference between like a puffy jacket and a flat jacket, obviously the puffies with all the down inside create a lot more body heat and keep you warmer than like just a regular straight like rain jacket. So that's what the chickens do. They puff up their feathers, keeps more body heat close to their skin, keeps them warmer in the winter. But that draft can really kill them. As long as they can get out of cold air and wind and rain and snow, they're fine. You don't really need to run heat. I don't run any external heat into my coop. I close the door, there's no draft, it's completely airtight. I can even come in here and close their outdoor run door here, and then they're completely sealed in there. Yes, it is a pain coming out here, you know, in the mornings and evenings and closing that door and opening it up for them, but it helps them out big time. That's another thing on the bucket list. I got to get an automatic coop door. That's another thing that would save me a lot of time. Automatic coop door, heated water. I got to figure out those 2 things. But yeah, just make sure it's an enclosure that keeps them out of the elements. Cold air is fine. You don't want it blowing. You don't want that draft coming in and constantly blowing on them, because that will cool them off and freeze them really quick. The 4th thing, so food, water, shelter, and another thing is actually the bedding. So I've got this all in the coop as well, but you'll probably see a little bit better. It's out here, but you can see I've got probably 6 inches of old hay. Now this is hay that a farmer nearby wasn't going to feed his cattle. The nutrition content for hay is not there anymore for feed, but hay keeps its what do I want to say here? It keeps its component, its composture. It keeps itself, it doesn't flatten down. So I usually use sawdust for bedding, like in the spring and summer in there. But in the winter, when it gets wet, that sawdust packs down. It's just like a brick. It doesn't keep much heat, doesn't keep much conformity. I think conformity is what I was looking for there. But it doesn't keep much insulation. There's not much thermal barrier there for them. That sawdust just packs down so much in the winter and gets cold. And if it gets wet at all, I mean, it's just like an ice rink in there. and it's just cold on their feet and they can't get in there and lay down and warm up. But I've got hay. I've got 6 inches. I actually need to add a little bit more in here, but I've got hay. If you can see, I need to clean it out, but there's hay in here as well. Don't mind all the chicken poop, but there's a lot of hay in there. I actually need to go do a clean out. It's been in there for a month or two. I'm gonna need to either clean it out or add more to it here. But bedding is the next thing. Creating something so they're not just sitting on cold hard wood or cold hard sawdust. Like I said, I noticed that they were freezing. They didn't want to be on the floor when I had the sawdust in there, so I started putting all that hay in there. And I think for the rest of the winter, all I'm going to do is hay or straw, something like that can keep some like I said, puffs up, keeps hot air in there. They can lay down in it. The ducks love it. Ducks are really cold hardy. They've got that down feathers, obviously, to make pillows out of and blankets. So they will lay down. They will be out in a snowdrift out here running around, and they'll just lay down, tuck their feet up into that down feathers, warm up, and then go on about their day. So that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 5th thing is light, and that's what I showed you here earlier, is why I put this solar panel up. It's like 30, 40 bucks on Amazon. I can't remember exactly. Runs a cord in and comes in here to this light, and you actually have a remote here. And I don't know if, I think this ran all night, so I don't think it's gonna work. It's not gonna work, but there's a remote. It's not very sunny. That's the only downside to it. But that light will then light up the whole coop. Obviously you have to charge it every day, and days like this, when you run it all night or at night, drains the battery. There's not enough sun here, obviously, to, you know, charge the battery up, so it's not working right now. But it'll turn on eventually. I'll probably come out here around lunchtime. That should start working. It should get some charge from just the normal daylight here, even though the sun's not directly shining on it. But why I put light in there and why light is the 5th thing: one, up here in Iowa, it gets dark really quick. You know, January, it's starting to get dark at 4:30. So by the time I get off work and get out here, it's usually dark out here, and having a light out there that I can turn on and have light, see what I'm doing, not have to worry about a headlamp. You know, make sure headlamps have batteries. You have your phone on you, and then if you have your phone, you usually have to hold it, so you're doing things one-handed. This is super nice. Just come on, click one button, have light. This other thing with light is your chickens have like a circadian rhythm. That's why they lay more eggs in the spring and summers, because there's more daylight, and that circadian rhythm is telling them it's time to lay eggs. Now, every chicken molts during the winter. They're going to go through a phase where they're not laying as much eggs, or laying as many eggs. But to bring them out of the molt quicker, I turn on that light, and this one is really cool. It's got a setting where you can turn it on for 4 hours. So at night, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, just as the sun's going down, I come in and turn that light on, and I will actually sprinkle some mealworms or some scratch or a little bit more feed out, either in a pan or just on the floor in the coop, to kind of get those birds up and moving. There's light, they're eating, they're taking in calories, trying to trick that circadian rhythm into thinking that the days are longer. And I think, and what I've seen from most of my hens, is they come out of that molt quicker and they start laying eggs, and I start getting back to a somewhat normal egg production. It's still not as good as what it would be in the spring and summer, but it's still pretty good for the middle of winter when it's, you know, 5 degrees out here. So those are the 5 things: food, water, shelter, bedding, light, that you're gonna need for your coop to keep your chickens warm. The 6th thing that I told you about, that's a bonus, is picking good breeds. Like I said, ducks are awesome in the winter. They've got the down. They can really control their body heat really well. But when it comes to chickens, you can see here, you want cold hardy breeds. Now, usually your cold hardy breeds don't lay as many eggs as like your hybrids. But if you get stuff that can handle they have thicker feathers, they have more feathers, you know, that's more feathers for them to puff up and keep warm in the winter. But these are some of the breeds that we have. The Americanas, you know, that's an Easter egger actually. We've got the French Black Copper Moran, another French Black Copper Moran. Light Brahma is a really good hen for the winter. They've got a lot of feathers. They got feathered feet actually too, that helps keep them warm. There's an Americana. They're really good cold weather birds. They don't have a comb, or a rose comb is what they have, kind of like the Brahma. That's Colonel Sanders. She's a Bielefelder. They have a lot of feathers as well. So picking those heritage breeds that have bigger bodies, yes, they take a little bit longer to grow. They don't lay as many eggs as like a Leghorn or your Golden Comets or Sex Links, things like that. But they usually lay through the winter and they're cold hardy and they don't have as much diseases. They're a little bit more stable and resistant to change, things like heat, cold, disease, things like that. So picking good breeds, and I can go make another video on the breeds that we have, and I'm going to be adding more chicks and chickens to the flock as well, and ducks. But picking a good breed just sets you off on the right foot as well, because then you're gonna have to do more for your chickens if they aren't cold hardy. If you have to run heat or always worrying about them and having to come out here and check on them, that's not fun, and that's a lot of work, especially if, like we've been in the 5 degrees. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. Getting breeds that are already ahead of the game, adapted to the cold, can lay eggs through the cold, are fine going out and scratching around in snow. Those are the breeds that you want if you live in the north or the Midwest, where it's going to be, you're going to go from 40 degrees one day in January to -10. They need to be able to handle that influx, and you don't want to be running heat into your chicken coop. Like I said, I don't do it. It kind of makes your chickens reliant on that heat. It doesn't teach them how to heat themselves and keep their body temperatures up. And also a lot of the heat, I see a lot of chicken coops burn down from those heat lamps and all those types of heat that people put in there. And I would rather not have my chicken coop and all my chickens burn, and just, they can be cold. They're hardy, they're chickens. They've been doing this for hundreds of years. Our ancestors, brought over chickens, and they didn't have heat. They weren't lighting fires and putting candles out in the chicken coop. The chickens had to survive and adapt, and they have, and these are all descendants from them. Another thing people do that I don't do is they put Vaseline on chickens' combs. Now, like I said, going kind of back to the breeds that you get, usually your more cold hardy, cold tolerant breeds don't have huge combs. The roosters all do because they're roosters, but usually the hens will have either smaller combs or they will have rose combs, which is pretty much, if you think about it, it's like fingers. Are your hands more cold when they're outstretched or when you ball them up? Obviously outstretched, right? Because the air can get in between them. There's not as much blood circulation there. But when you close them up, they're more warm. It's got more body heat there to kind of keep itself warm. So that's kind of like the chicken's combs, obviously. Your single combs, the bigger combs, are like outstretched fingers. Some of them have a little bit smaller ones, and then those rose combs are pretty much this thing about balling your hands in a fist to keep them warm. That's kind of the difference between the combs. Some of those longer combs, people will actually come in and put Vaseline on them to kind of help protect them from the cold. I really don't do that. I haven't seen a whole lot with my hens. I don't get a lot of hens. We did have a couple Leghorns, and they're actually really good. They haven't had much damage to their combs or frostbite. Our 2 roosters, Colonel Sanders, and I don't know what we're calling our Copper Moran rooster. He doesn't have a name yet. But Colonel Sanders is our Bielefelder rooster. He actually, and I don't know if I'll be able to get close to him with all these girls here. He's going to want to stay with them. But he actually got a little bit of frostbite on his tips last year. He's a 2-year-old bird now. And if you tell, his tips aren't as pointy anymore because they kind of froze off last year. But now his comb is completely fine. There might be a little bit of frostbite there on the front, but he's really not bad. Now, this is our Copper Moran rooster. This is not what you really want to see. That is really bad. We didn't put anything on it. I didn't really catch it in time. But what I'm hoping is next year, this spring, that comb will probably deteriorate a little bit where that frostbite is. But next year in this summer, he'll have a nice red comb. It'll grow out a little bit more. But next winter, since those fingers kind of froze off, they're going to be fine next year. Like, all those tips that got really cold aren't going to be there next year. It's not really hurting him at all. And next year we won't really have to worry about it. It's just this year, and I didn't see how bad it got because it was very, very cold here. And he is a little more flighty than Colonel Sanders. Our Colonel Sanders, the Bielefelder rooster, he's like a golden retriever. He'll come follow you around. So I can kind of keep tabs on him a little bit better. That Copper Moran rooster, He's a little more flighty. Colonel Sanders kind of puts him in his place. So he doesn't hang around a whole lot. It's hard to get up close to him. So it's harder to keep tabs on him. And it's usually at night he's tucked off and up in his roost, tucked his head underneath, keeping it warm. So I couldn't really see him as well. But so that is kind of my fault. I don't know if I would have put Vaseline on it, just because I do want it to kind of, I do want it to get his comb to get tolerant of the cold. So it's kind of a catch-22, and I don't know what's right or what's wrong. I really don't want to run out here every night with Vaseline and Vaseline all my hens and my roosters. I feel like that's just a pain, especially if you're trying to keep them cold hardy and cold tolerant. But I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys do. It's, to me, it's a catch-22. I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent. I feel like it's indifferent just because that's what happened to Colonel Sanders last year. He got a little frostbite on those tips. They froze off. I hate to say it, kind of bad to say, but now his comb is completely fine this year. There maybe is just a little bit of frostbite on it, but he is doing well with all of his ladies, as you can tell right here. He's doing really well. He's the man of the hour. All the rest of the chickens are down by the compost pile. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any recommendations for setting up some sort of like a solar panel for heated water, or any recommendations for an automatic coop door. Probably just get one on Amazon. I don't know if one's better than the other. They're all kind of the same in my opinion when you get them from Amazon. But let me know. Let me know if there's one. But thanks for following along, guys. We will see you on the next video.